Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to this video, which is part 3 of these videos looking into the teachings of the book, the letter to the Hebrews, so-called. So this video is all about the whether or not the sacrifices offered under Torah were sufficient to have forgiveness of sins, to have atonement for sins. Let's have a look. Hebrews, the writer, whoever wrote Hebrews, was clear that the answer is no. He said, "For the Torah, having a shadow of the good matters to come, and not the image itself of the matters, was never able to make perfect those who draw near with the same slaughter offerings with which they offer continually year by year." So we saw how that's false, according to the Torah and the Tanakh itself. Otherwise, would they not have ceased to be offered? Because those who served, once cleansed, would have had no more consciousness of sins. But in those offerings is a reminder of sins year by year. So he's talking about something that takes place year by year in this particular place. For it is impossible for the blood of bulls and goats to take away sins. Is that true? Well, here he's talking specifically about Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which was, as stated in the very title, the very name of the day, was a day on which the sins of the children of Israel were to be atoned for. Let's have a look at Leviticus, Vayikra, chapter 16. It says, "On that day, he," that's the priest, "makes atonement for you, to cleanse you, to be clean from all your sins before Yah. It is a Sabbath rest. It is a Sabbath of rest for you, and you shall afflict your beings, a law forever. And the priest who is anointed and ordained to serve as priest in his father's place shall make atonement, and shall put on the linen garments and the set apart garments. And he shall make atonement for the most set apart place, and make atonement for the tent of meeting and for the altar, and make atonement for the priests and all the people of the assembly. And this shall be for you a law forever, to make atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins once a year. And he did as Yah commanded Moshe." So according to Yah, the Day of Atonement was a day to cleanse the children of Israel from all their sins, and to make atonement for all the people for all their sins once a year. So if that was the intention, if that is what Yah said, the offerings that would be offered on the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, if that's what he said that the offerings would do, i.e. make atonement and cleanse the children of Israel from their sins, well, that's what it did then. It did what Yah said it would do. Okay, so when the writer to the Hebrews claims that, in fact, it's impossible for the blood of bull and goats to take away sins, I'm afraid that contradicts what Yah himself said concerning Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Likewise, the writer to the Hebrews also goes on to talk about just the regular sin offerings. He says, verse 11, he says, "Indeed, every priest stands day by day doing service, and repeatedly offering the same slaughter offerings, which are never able to take away sins." Is that true? Were sin offerings never able to take away sins? Well, let's have a look. Let's go to Leviticus, Vayikra, chapter 4 this time. Verse 20, talking about sin offerings, it says, "And he shall do," this is the priest, "he shall do with the bull as he did with the bull as a sin offering, and so shall he do it. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven them." What shall be forgiven them? The sins which they committed shall be forgiven them. Likewise, verse 26, same thing. "The priest shall make atonement for him for his sin, and it shall be forgiven him." One more we can look at. "The priest shall burn it on the altar for a sweet fragrance to Yah, and the priest shall make atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven him." Okay, so it's repeated in through chapter 5 as well. All the different places where the children of Israel could come and offer a sin offering, the priest would offer the sacrifice on the altar, and the sin offering on the altar, and the sin would be forgiven that particular person or those particular people. So again, this idea that it's impossible for these sin offerings could never take away sins, I'm afraid just plainly, openly contradicts what the Torah itself says. The Torah itself says those who offer the sin offering shall be forgiven for their sins, and the whole community of Israel who partake of Yom Kippur, they all shall be cleansed from their sins once a year. So this is another area where the Hebrews, is false. The writer to the Hebrews is false. In case some of you might be wondering, well, the sacrifices aren't happening now, and so there you go. He's true. He was correct. You might want to look at Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel, and you might want to just study what the coming kingdom is going to be like, because guys, there's going to be sin offerings in the coming kingdom. Okay, this is a description in Ezekiel chapter 40 verse 38, description of the temple, and one part of it, the new temple that's going to be built in Jerusalem when the kingdom is restored to Israel, when Mashiach returns. It says, there was a room with its entrance by the post of the gate where they washed the burnt offering. And in the porch of the gate were 2 tables on this side and 2 tables on that side, on which to slaughter the burnt offering and the sin offering and the guilt offering. Okay, another place you might want to check out, I'd say read the whole of Ezekiel chapter 40 to chapter 48 to give you a good idea of what the kingdom is going to look like when it's set up again. But chapter 45 and verse 16, just for this time round, says, all the people of the land are to give his contribution to the prince in Israel. And on the prince are the burnt offerings and the grain offerings and the drink offerings at the festival, the new moons, the Sabbaths, which Paul said have been done away with. In all the appointed times of the house of Israel, he is to prepare the sin offering and the burnt offering and the grain offering and the burnt offering and the peace offerings to make atonement for the house of Israel. Okay, so this is going to be taking place during the feasts, during the holy days, the set apart days. There's going to be sin offerings that are going to be offered. Okay, so the basic point is that, first of all, according to Torah itself, the sacrifices, the sin offerings do take away sins. They do result in the person being forgiven of their sins and having their sins atoned for. And also in the coming kingdom, there is going to be the offering up of sin offerings, grain offerings, etc., and peace offerings to make atonement for the house of Israel. Okay, all of those who are going to be in the kingdom are going to be partaking of these sin offerings and peace offerings, etc.